For our final presentation, I'm pleased to call forward Berrye Worsham for a report on the activities of Cotton Incorporated. Berrye is President and CEO of Cotton Incorporated.
Thank you, Chairman Kraft, and I want to thank you and especially the National Cotton Council staff for allowing me the opportunity to talk a little bit about Cotton Incorporated activities. In the past, what I've done is taken all the areas of the company, given you a couple of slides showing the breadth of, of what we are doing, but given the importance of demand and knowing that the projection was going to be for a large crop not only in the U.S. but worldwide next year, we're going to talk about demand building from a marketing perspective, what we're doing, and especially maybe how we're going to get demand high enough to where we don't have that increase in inventories around the world, and we can keep prices or get prices to levels that are profitable. So my apologies to the staff from ag research all the way to fiber quality and R&D. We're just going to focus a little bit on demand and give you some specifics of some of the executions that we have in our program. Now, we recognize that going from the fiber all the way through to the consumer is a complicated journey. You know, we start with obviously growing the cotton. Sustainability is becoming more important. You have the fiber quality issues, and we address that through our fiber competition. We've got to have products. Ultimately, we got to market that to brands and retailers, and then ultimately the consumer. So, you know, it's a fairly complicated journey, and all areas of the company play a role in demand building. But as complicated as this is, what has really changed in the last, I'd say, decade or so is the journey the consumer faces. In the old days, we thought about the consumer journey being you run an advertisement on television, consumer gets interested, maybe they go to a retail store, they see signage, they look at the product, and about 80% of the purchases, 10 years, 20 years ago, were actually made on impulse. We had a lot of statistics on that. Well, the journey today at the consumer level is far more complex, and it doesn't look linear at all. In fact, the consumer may get an ad through email. They may get something on the internet, piques their interest. Possibly they go to a store, but the chances are they're not going to buy it right away. They're going to go to look to see what it's all about. Maybe they come back, look at word of mouth, to talk friends about what they are buying. They do a mobile search, perhaps see some online reviews, get a television ad or two, or maybe a digital ad. They share their experiences on Twitter. Maybe they go back to the store and buy something. Maybe they buy it through their online off their laptop. And increasingly, these young kids today are buying things off their mobile phones. So how that complicates the marketing of cotton at the consumer level is that, in the old days, television and cable, whether you're talking network or cable, was the main source, and in many cases almost the only source. Today you've got to have a breadth of way to influence consumers. So it's network and cable for sure. Digital is growing. You've got to be an active presence on social media, even radio. Your public relations becomes more important. And one that's probably underestimated in its importance is you've got to influence the influencers and let them promote your product, or in our case, promote our fiber, to help create consumer demand. So it's a far more complicated today. And what I want to do is to kind of give you a sense of some of the activities and how we are reaching consumers in different ways today. We have a diversified portfolio, and one of the things that we always want to make sure is whatever that message is, whether it's a television ad, that those can be accessed through mobile phones or however the consumer is actually getting information today. Now, whereas we don't have the resources today to be on television 12 months a year, just like you're building a house or you've got a plan for the year, we have various ways of reaching consumers, and we are reaching the consumer all the time, but not just with the same media. For example, in television, we can afford to be on several months a year in multiple times, but we're on social media all the time. And that changes depending on whether you're talking about channels or retail partnerships, or being specific to particular events like holidays, or taking advantage of things like Earth Day with a sustainability message. So there's various ways of trying to reach the consumer today, and again, it's not just one or two types of activities. Now, television is still very important. We've got a lot of research that suggests that. It's the biggest way and the best way that we can reach a large audience. It builds that reach very quickly, provides immediate awareness. It does help drive sales. It elevates cotton as a brand to the supply chain decision makers and consumers. And we're on a number of networks. We target that depending on our audience. We tend to be more focused on younger people today, primarily 18 to 49, I think it is, and focus on women primarily, but not exclusively. But increasingly, the importance is the digital world, and this allows us to have a deeper conversation with consumers. We can be more targeted to demographics. We can change our message as needed. It can be very adaptable. And on these, you may not recognize as many of these as you do with on the left side, but these are very influential digital presence. They do have a strong digital presence, and they can influence a lot of customers. So we try to be very active, and increasingly so. In fact, our spend in the digital world today, for the first time, I think this past year, exceeded our budget for television advertising. Now, when you're marketing cotton, whether you're Cotton Incorporated or CCI, we have to answer a very basic question. And we answer this question. This is the question that a consumer would want to know. This is the question that the brand or retailer want to know. Why cotton? If you're Bruce at CCI, he's got to answer the question, why U.S. cotton? And we've got to have an answer for that. And the answers that we have, we've now kind of put into basically three types of messaging. We now have evidence and data that suggests there's a health and wellness advantage for cotton in some product categories. It could be a nonwovens category. It could be home furnishings, bed sheets, for example. Maybe there's a strategic benefit in terms of something like odor, retains odor less. It has some other fashion potentially benefit. It falls into more of a functional category. And then last, in growing, we think that we have now, with a lot of the issues that you're seeing on the plastics, we think that we are beginning to have potentially a sustainability advantage that we can begin to market. It doesn't always fall neatly into one of these three buckets, but in fact that they do overlap. And now that we can have multiple messages on behalf of cotton. Now, in the past year, I asked our team to look at how many different types of messages did we actually have. And we have, I think, around 30 different types of messaging in this past year, from sustainability type claims all the way through to a functional benefit. And everything that we say, making a claim, whether it's an environmental claim, whether it's a functional claim, all of that has to be approved by the USDA, every single message. And I want to give a shout out to USDA, particularly Daryl Ernest and Heather Reaver, who works for Daryl. They have been tremendous in terms of working on our behalf to give us more flexibility and become more aggressive in our messaging, because it has been a fight, and they have done a really good job of really expanding the boundaries for Cotton Incorporated. So if you see Daryl, give him a hug on the behalf of the cotton industry. So what I'm going to do is show you a couple of videos. They go from different types of messages. The first will be simply a commercial that highlights the functionality of cotton from a comfort standpoint. And then there's a lot of digital messages that will focus on the versatility of cotton, some fashion benefits of cotton, and then they're pretty much self-explanatory. Some involve humor, which we found that has actually worked very well for us, and you'll see in the video.
So that's my ex-girlfriend, that's my ex-ex-girlfriend, that's my ex-ex-ex-girlfriend, but I still got space for that special someone.
Dating can feel uncomfortable. Your clothes shouldn't. Cotton, the fabric of our lives.
would pack my bags and leave without you and be out there on my own. Then I would fall into pieces, fall into pieces. Oh, 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 I would fall into pieces, fall into pieces. Oh.
Okay, one of the things that we do, particularly in the digital world, is we want to provide more information. We want consumers to be engaged, not just be aware of cotton and the benefits, but be more engaged. So we always try to drive consumers back to our website for more information. It could be information about taking care of cotton. It could be information about sustainability. It could be information about cottonseed and cottonseed products. Whatever it may be, this is our opportunity to provide more information. We do rely quite a bit on partners, and we also have a number of partners throughout the year. It could be retailers. It could be maybe unusual partners from a standpoint of, like, for example, The Economist magazine. What kind of partnership is that? Well, we were a sponsor of a co-sponsor of one of the sustainability events that allowed us to talk a little bit about the improvements in cotton sustainability and get our message out in areas where it's not normally going to get out. It maybe change perception a little bit. I'll give you a couple of examples, and the reason partnerships are important because with the dollars that we have, we want to leverage those. We want the brand and retailer, perhaps, or the partner, to also tell the story of cotton. And in the past year, we had a number of major partnerships, and these are some of the biggest ones. Zappos, over $1 billion in sales early in the year. Bed Bath & Beyond, you know them as a major home furnishings retailer. Amazon, the largest apparel retailer in the country, if not the world. The Goop is a health and wellness brand that we had a partnership where I'll talk a little bit about. And just to give you some ideas, like Bed Bath & Beyond, that was home furnishings partnership where they featured cotton. We talked about some of the attributes, such as a better night's sleep. You have to wash it less because it doesn't retain odors. It breathes better. And you could see the cotton seal in the actual shopping experience that a consumer would go through. In the Amazon program, this was one that we become very concerned about online sales because a lot of time the fiber content is not even identified. It's identified on the product, but it doesn't have to be identified in the messaging. So we went to Amazon as the largest retailer, and we thought we would do something to try to show them that fiber content does matter, that cotton does matter. And Amazon's huge. They reach 53% of adults online who spend over $500 on women's clothing over the past 6 months. They're going to be a $62 billion company in apparel sales by 2021. Amazon basically puts stuff out. There's not a lot of promotion behind it. Our staff worked very hard to get a fashion show just for Amazon. And the idea is to show Amazon could feature cotton products that they actually sell, and this would be online. We would invite a lot of fashion influencers and people who do have influence in the fashion world, but the consumer could actually go on and purchase online directly. And this is show you a little video showing that fashion show. Oops, what happened to it? Can we cue the fashion show, please? There we go.
Hey guys!
guys, I'm here at Cotton's Fashion Delivered Runway Show in New York City, and everything that you're about to see on the runway is cotton. So that means that you're not only getting stylish and on-trend looks, but they're comfortable as well.
It's a very comfortable, soft, natural fibre, so it's easy to take care of, but it's always going to look good.
It's breathable, it's comfy, throw it in my suitcase, wash it when I need to. It's just like ready to go on all of my adventures.
So right now we're behind the scenes at Fashion Delivered for Cotton. It's all about access to the runway because it's amazing to see things walk and grab them in that moment.
Every look that you're going to see on the runway is shoppable with just one click. I'm very impatient, I want to buy it right now, so you can do that with this.
I'm an Insta girl in an Insta world. I want to buy what I see right now.
Press your buttons, literally. Big people are watching them on their phones or on their laptops.
You can buy everything you see today. You don't have to wait 6 months. You can have it right now.
Cotton's so versatile, it's so comfortable, so you can really tailor it in with the trends.
What's so great about cotton, it's easy, it's comfortable, and it's so wearable.
At the end of the day, you don't have to sacrifice style for comfort.
A couple of observations about the event. When the event was over, the staff from Amazon came up to me and they just were blown away. They said they had no idea something like this could be done. It said they changed the way they're thinking about how to market products, and so our staff really did a great job. Second observation, I was at the event, and I was the oldest person there by a factor of 2. So these kids were too young to be my kids, so it was really quite depressing in a way. Another one that you may not be familiar with is called Goop. It was started by Gwyneth Paltrow in, I think, 2008. It's kind of a health, wellness, fashion sort of site that's been growing. And again, we partnered them with cotton products, and this is what they said about cotton. I'll read this to you. It says, a little label says a lot. At Goop, we believe in making every choice count, from the products we use to the food we eat and the clothes we wear. It's in our DNA to check the label. We want to feel confident in our clothes, which is why we invest in the best fibers out there like cotton. So that's what we want people to tell our message for us. Sustainability is where we have probably the biggest opportunity. Consumers say it's important, they're concerned about it, and the good news for cotton is, despite over the history, the negatives that came out about cotton, the consumer worldwide says that cotton is the most sustainable fiber compared to the others by a wide margin. So we've got to convert that into action. And here's some, we know that consumers care about certain things that they do. Why not the clothes they wear? So these are some advertising banners that kind of get to that, and they're very clever in the sense of keeping the same color schemes and connecting the fashion with things that they already care about. For example, you read your makeup labels, but do you read your clothing labels? What's on your skin? Know the truth. You eat natural foods, but do you wear natural fabrics? Know where your fabric comes from. Know the truth. You think about what goes in your body, but what goes on it. Wear fabric that comes from a plant. Know the truth. You know about plant-based eating, but have you tried plant-based clothing? Wear fabric from a plant. Know the truth. You eat clean, but do you dress clean? Wear natural fabric you can feel good about. Know the truth. One of the things that's going to be increasing in importance, not only in the U.S., but particularly worldwide, is recycling. Right now, our best recycling program is the Blue Jeans Go Green, where you're recycling it to insulation. A lot of retailers are getting on board. It's really growing rapidly. 2 million pieces of denim have been collected. And like I say, I just see this continuing. Now, in the long term, where cotton is we think we have some opportunities in recycling or repurposing. Is a company was visiting us just a few days ago about converting cotton fabrics into taking it back, and I think through enzymes, it converts it back to sugars, so it could be actually repurposed, not in apparel, but in something else. So it stays out of the landfill. So that's going to be a big issue going forward, and we're very excited about some opportunities. Now, here's where we have a real opportunity. It doesn't, you pick up a paper, you read this about plastics, it's everywhere. I've talked about this in the past. We had to get our house in order about how cotton reacts in terms of degradation. We have a great story to tell, and this is that story.
Textile microfibers generated from washing clothes at home can directly affect the oceans and lakes around us. Let's break it down, literally. Textile microfibers can accumulate in waterways and break down at different rates over the course of roughly 1 month. In fresh water, like rivers and lakes, cotton microfibers will break down nearly 86%, rayon fibers 83%, cotton polyester fibers 37%, and polyester fibers 0. In salt water, cotton microfibers break down nearly 67%, rayon 60%, cotton polyester nearly 33%, and polyester again 0. Make a difference. Dress responsibly. Check the label. For more information, visit cottontoday.com, the resource for cotton and the environment.
Those numbers on cotton, by the way, that's only after a couple of months, I think it is. So cotton will basically completely degrade, over a period of a year or two in water. Polyester is showing no degradation on these recent studies. So that's a huge advantage for us. Now, what our staff tells me when they're meetings is, right now, that doesn't guarantee cotton is coming into these markets. It guarantees what we're seeing, though, is that the brands and retailers around the world want to have a conversation about cotton and what we can do. So we continue to have the products that we can meet the needs of the marketplace, and we're continuing to do that with the technologies and the designs and initiatives like getting cotton in performance wear, and even developing natural collections within the cotton world. They may be having maybe blending it with wool in some cases, or minimally processing, using natural dyes. There's a lot of things that we can now offer that we couldn't offer 10 years ago. So I'm very excited about just the interest in cotton of the brands and retailers that we haven't seen. And last but not least is we do work with the brands through our supply chain marketing team. They do everything from one-on-one meetings to trade shows to the Cotton Works program, which is all things cotton as part of the importer support program, as is the technical workshops that we do. We have just a number of ways of reaching the brands and retailers all around the world. And I think that we have the opportunity, particularly with the microplastics issue, of looking over the horizon, not just this year with the trade disputes and things, but down the road, we have the opportunity to grow cotton at a rate that we have not seen over the past couple of decades. So I'm very optimistic long term. Apologies to the other areas of the company, but I do think demand building right now is very critical to the future of cotton, and I wanted to focus on just a few areas. So thank you again for the support of Cotton Incorporated. We look forward to lower inventories around the world in the next couple of years. Thank you.